There's a question that follows a certain song. It's a quiet question, not a loud one. It's a feeling you get when you hear it. You listen to the words, you listen to the voice. And you wonder, was this his goodbye? Was this a message sent out across the world to everyone who ever listened? Was he telling us something, knowing that someday the show would have to end? The idea is a powerful one. It's romantic, it's tragic, it fits the narrative we've all come to know. The story of a king in his castle, isolated but loved by millions he could never meet. It makes sense that he would use his art, his voice, to say the one thing he couldn't say in person. To leave behind a final, gentle farewell. But is it true? To understand the question, you have to go back to a specific moment in time. On January 14th, 1973, it wasn't just another concert, it was a global event. Elvis was in Honolulu, Hawaii. He was on stage in a white jumpsuit, covered in jewels that looked like an American eagle. The show was called Aloha from Hawaii, and it was broadcast live via satellite to more than 1 billion people. Think about that. 1 billion people. In Australia, Japan, South Korea, all across Asia and Europe. It was the first time a solo entertainer had ever held a concert for the entire world. The pressure must have been immense. He was 38 years old, he wasn't the wild kid from the 50s anymore. He was an institution, he was a legend performing while still alive, and he had to prove he still had it. He had to stand on that stage and deliver. The whole world was literally watching. He sang the big songs, the ones everyone expected. He hit the notes, he did the moves. The energy was electric. But then, in the middle of this massive high-stakes spectacle, the mood shifted. The pace slowed, the orchestra quieted down, the spotlights focused on him and him alone. And he began to sing a ballad. It wasn't one of his rock and roll anthems. It wasn't a gospel song that tore the roof off the place. It was something else, it was tender, it was intimate, and the words, they hung in the air. They were about memory, about time passing, about holding onto a moment long after it's gone. He sang it with a kind of quiet sincerity that cut through all the glitz and glamour of the show. He wasn't just performing, he was communicating. He looked right into the camera, which meant he was looking right at you, sitting in your living room 1,000 miles away. And he sang about remembering. This is the performance that fuels the theory. This is the moment people point to. They say, listen to him. Just listen. He's not singing to a girl he just met. He's not singing about a one-night stand. He's singing to us, his fans, the people who stuck with him through the bad movies, through the changing times, through everything. The lyrics seem to fit perfectly. They speak of a future where the singer is gone, but the memory remains. The sound of your laughter will sing in my dreams. I'll think of you and me. And when my life is through, in my heart, I'll still be with you. It's hard to hear those words, sung with such raw emotion on a global stage, and not feel like he's leaving a final testament. He's making a promise, that even when he's no longer here, the bond they share will endure. It's a beautiful thought, and it's easy to believe. By 1973, Elvis had lived 100 lives. He had seen the top of the mountain. He had also seen the inside of a lonely room. His marriage to Priscilla was over. His health was a growing concern, a secret kept from the public. He was surrounded by people, but many have said he was profoundly alone. Maybe, in that moment, he was looking ahead. Maybe he felt the passage of time more acutely than anyone knew. Maybe he sensed that his time on that stage, in that jumpsuit, was not infinite. So he chose that song, for that moment, a message in a bottle thrown out into a global ocean. A quiet goodbye tucked inside a loud hello. A way of saying, thank you, I love you, and no matter what happens, I will remember you. This interpretation gives the song an incredible weight. It transforms it from a simple ballad into something sacred. It becomes the definitive statement from an artist to his audience. It's the final word. And for many fans, this is the only truth that matters. When they hear the song, they hear Elvis speaking directly to them across the years. They remember that night in Hawaii, they remember the look in his eyes, and they feel the connection. They feel the goodbye. It's a personal message delivered to 1 billion people at once. And in that context, the theory doesn't just seem plausible, it feels right. It feels true. But there's another side to the story. Stories are never that simple, especially not with someone like Elvis. The truth is often more complicated, less romantic. To find it, we have to look past the performance and look at the song itself. We have to ask where it came from, because Elvis didn't write it. The song was written by a man named Kui Lee. Kiokalani Lee was a brilliant Hawaiian singer and songwriter. He was a local legend in Honolulu. He wrote songs that captured the spirit of the islands, a mix of beauty, melancholy, and love. He was a true artist, and in the mid-1960s he was diagnosed with terminal cancer. He knew he was dying. He wrote this song while staring his own mortality in the face. It wasn't about a fading romance, it was about saying goodbye to life itself. It was about leaving a message for his wife and children, for his friends, for his home, the islands he loved. It was his farewell. He was writing about his own legacy, the memories he would leave behind. He poured all of his love, his pain, and his hope into those lyrics. The words were real because the situation was real. Kui Lee died in 1966. He was only 34 years old. He never got to see his song become a standard. He never got to see the biggest star in the world sing it. Elvis learned the song because he loved Hawaii. He had a deep connection to the islands. He made movies there, he vacationed there, he recorded the soundtrack for Blue Hawaii there, and he decided to stage his biggest comeback, the Aloha special, from there. He wanted to pay tribute to the place and its culture. He wanted to include music from Hawaiian artists, so he chose a song by one of Hawaii's most beloved and tragic songwriters. So when Elvis stood on that stage in 1973, whose goodbye was he singing? Was it his own, or was he channeling the profound sadness and love of Kui Lee? This is where the story gets complicated. Elvis was not a songwriter, but he was one of the greatest interpreters of a song who ever lived. He had an almost supernatural ability to take someone else's words, someone else's feelings, and make them his own. He didn't just sing a song, he inhabited it. He found the emotional core of the lyrics and exposed it for everyone to see. When he sang the song, he wasn't just performing a cover, he was paying homage. He was honoring the man who wrote it, in the man's own hometown. It was a gesture of deep respect. Many people in the audience that night in Honolulu would have known the song. They would have known Kui Lee's story. For them, it wasn't Elvis saying goodbye. It was Elvis helping them remember one of their own. It was a beautiful, heartfelt tribute. And what about Elvis's own mindset at the time? Was he really planning his final curtain call? The evidence suggests otherwise. 1973 was, in many ways, a peak for him. The Aloha special was a massive success. It revitalized his career on a global scale. He was booking tours, he was recording new albums, he was on top of the world again. He was looking forward, not back. It seems unlikely that he was consciously crafting a final farewell. He was a professional, he was putting on a show, and he picked a beautiful song that was perfect for the occasion. This perspective is less romantic. It's more practical. It paints Elvis not as a tragic figure contemplating his end, but as a master showman making a smart artistic choice. He chose a song with Hawaiian roots for his Hawaiian show. A song that was beautiful, sad, and would connect with the audience. He did his job, and he did it brilliantly. He sang the song with genuine emotion, because that's what he did. He was an emotional singer. He felt every word. But he was feeling the song's story, not necessarily writing his own ending. So, we have two competing ideas. On one hand, the deeply personal interpretation. Elvis, the Lonely King, using a global platform to send a coded message of love and farewell to his fans. A message that only grew more poignant after his death just a few years later. It's a story about destiny and hidden meanings. On the other hand, the professional interpretation. Elvis, the master musician, paying tribute to a fellow artist. A beautiful gesture that was rooted in respect for Hawaiian culture and the tragic story of the song's author. A story about craftsmanship and artistic choice. Which one is true? Maybe the question isn't which one is true. Maybe the real answer is that they both are. Maybe the power of the song and of that performance is that it lives in the space between those two ideas. Think about that moment again. Elvis on stage. The lights are on him. 1 billion people are watching. He knows the song's origin. He knows it was written by a man who was dying. He is standing in that man's home. He feels the weight of those words. He's not thinking about his own death, not in a literal way. But he's a man who has experienced immense loss. He's lost his mother, he's lost his marriage, he's lost his privacy, he knows what it means to have a moment and then have it be gone. So he sings. And as he sings Kui Lee's words, they become his words too. Not because he's planning to die, but because he understands the feeling behind them. The universal human experience of loving something so much that you want the memory of it to last forever. In that moment, who was he singing to? He's singing to Kui Lee's family. He's singing to the people of Hawaii. He's singing to a lost love. He's singing to his mother. And yes, he's singing to his fans. He's singing to everyone. He's taking one man's very specific goodbye and turning it into a universal one. The song isn't about his death, it's about the fact that all moments end. The concert will end. The night will end. Life eventually will end. All we have are the memories. And he's standing on stage in the biggest moment of his life, creating a memory with 1 billion people. He's telling them and himself that this moment matters, that this connection is real, and that he will hold on to it. He is promising to remember them. So, was it a conscious, deliberate final goodbye? Probably not. It wasn't a suicide note set to music. It was a cover song chosen for a specific purpose on a specific night. But did it become a goodbye? Absolutely. Art changes over time. A song's meaning is not fixed. It evolves with context. When Kui Lee wrote it, it was a husband and father's farewell. When Elvis sang it in 1973, it was a tribute and a shared, beautiful moment of reflection. And after Elvis died in 1977, the song took on a new, heartbreaking layer of meaning. Now, it's impossible to hear it without thinking of it as a message from beyond. We, the listeners, bring our own knowledge to it. We know the story ends. We know he's gone. So when he sings, and when my life is through, we hear it as a prophecy. When he sings, in my heart, I'll still be with you, we hear it as a promise kept. The fans who believe it was a final goodbye are not wrong. Their interpretation is real. Their emotional response is valid. The song provides a way for them to process their grief and to maintain their connection to him. It gives them a final, beautiful gift from their idol. It allows them to say the one thing they all needed to hear. The people who focus on the song's origin story are not wrong either. Their interpretation is also real. It honors the legacy of Kui Lee. It highlights Elvis's skill as an interpreter and his respect for other musicians. It shows a side of him that is often overlooked, the thoughtful artist, the music historian. The truth is that the performance was a miracle of empathy. Elvis, the man, was able to connect with the ghost of Kui Lee, the songwriter. And in doing so, he created a work of art so powerful that it reached through the television screen and connected with millions of fans. And now, decades later, it reaches through time and connects with us. It wasn't a simple transaction. It was a fusion. Kui Lee's words, Elvis's voice, the context of the global broadcast, and the audience's love all came together. In that moment, the song belonged to everyone. It was about every goodbye ever said. Every memory ever cherished. When we strip away the myth and the romance, we are left with something perhaps even more beautiful. We are left with an artist at the peak of his powers, using his gift to honor another artist's pain. We are left with a man on the world's biggest stage, choosing to sing a song of quiet intimacy. We are left with a performance so full of genuine emotion that its meaning can shift and deepen, becoming whatever the listener needs it to be. It's not a secret message, it's a shared feeling, it's a recognition that life is fleeting, but that memory and love can last. Elvis didn't need to be thinking about his own end to understand that. He just needed to be human. So, when you listen to the song today, you don't have to choose a side. You don't have to decide if it was his goodbye or Kui Lee's. It was both, and it's also yours. It's a song for anyone who has ever had to say farewell. For anyone who has ever cherished a memory. He didn't record it as a final goodbye. He didn't have to. The song and the story of his life did that for him. He gave a performance so honest that it could carry the weight of a future he couldn't yet see. He sang a song about remembering, and in doing so he made himself impossible to forget. The power wasn't in some secret plan. The power was in the performance itself. The honesty in his voice, the look in his eyes. He meant every word he sang in that moment. And because he meant it, the song lives on. It has become a goodbye, it has become a comfort, it has become a promise. And that is a greater legacy than any planned farewell could ever be. It is a testament to the power of a great singer and a great song coming together at just the right time to create a moment that will indeed be remembered, long after the moment is gone. The song, of course, is I'll Remember You.